The lights dimmed slowly, and a low murmur spread through the audience as anticipation filled the room. Everyone sitting in those seats had come for surprises, but what they did not realize was that they were about to witness something far deeper than flashy performances or clever tricks. This was the night when raw emotions, untold stories, and unheard melodies would pour directly from the hearts of ordinary people onto one of the biggest stages in the world. One by one, performers would step forward not just to sing, but to reveal pieces of their lives through original songs that no one else on earth could sing the same way. The first performer walked out with hesitant steps, holding a guitar that looked almost as nervous as they were. Their hands trembled slightly, not from fear alone, but from the weight of the story they were carrying. They spoke softly, explaining that the song they were about to sing was written during a time when life felt unbearably heavy. It was not polished by professional producers or shaped by focus groups. It was written alone, late at night, when sleep would not come and thoughts would not quiet down. As the first chord rang out, the room changed. The melody was simple, but the honesty behind it was overwhelming. Every lyric felt like a confession, every note like a sigh of relief. The judges leaned forward without realizing it, drawn in by the sincerity. The audience fell silent, not because they were told to, but because they were afraid to miss a single word. When the song reached its final line, the performer closed their eyes, letting the last note hang in the air. There was a pause, a long one, the kind where no one wants to break the spell. Then the applause erupted, not explosive, but deep and heartfelt, like a collective acknowledgement that something real had just happened. Another contestant followed, carrying a completely different energy. They walked with confidence, smiling brightly, yet their eyes held a depth that hinted at experiences far beyond their years. They explained that their song was about growing up too fast, about responsibilities that came early and dreams that had to wait. The opening lyrics were playful, almost cheerful, but as the song progressed, layers began to unfold. The melody shifted, the words grew heavier, and suddenly the audience realized they were listening to a story of sacrifice disguised as optimism. The chorus hit with surprising power, a declaration of resilience rather than despair. One of the judges wiped away a tear, visibly moved by the contrast between the performer's outward positivity and the quiet struggles revealed in the song. By the time the final chorus echoed through the theater, people were on their feet, not because they were told to stand, but because they felt compelled to honor the courage it takes to turn pain into art. Then came a performer who barely spoke at all. They introduced themselves with a nod, sat down at the piano, and let the music do the talking. The song began with soft, delicate notes that felt almost like footsteps in an empty hallway. Slowly, a voice emerged, fragile but steady, telling a story of loss. The lyrics painted vivid images of empty rooms, unanswered messages, and memories that lingered like shadows. It was clear this song was written from personal grief, from a place where words often fail. Yet here they were, flowing effortlessly, carried by a melody that rose and fell like waves. As the song built toward its climax, the performer's voice grew stronger, no longer fragile but resolute. It was not just a song about loss, but about survival, about learning to live with absence. When the final note faded, there was no applause at first. Instead, there was silence filled with emotion. Then slowly, one clap, then another, until the entire theater stood in unison, honoring not just the performance, but the bravery behind it. As the night continued, the stage became a canvas for stories from every corner of life. One performer sang about falling in love when the world told them they should not. The song was bold and unapologetic, filled with soaring vocals and a melody that demanded attention. Every lyric challenged expectations, celebrated individuality, and claimed space without apology. The judges smiled, nodding along, clearly impressed by both the musicality and the message. The audience responded with cheers, feeling empowered by the honesty and fearlessness pouring from the stage. Another contestant shared a song inspired by their childhood, growing up in a place where opportunities were scarce but dreams were abundant. The song blended cultural influences, weaving traditional sounds with modern rhythms. It felt both deeply personal and universally relatable. The lyrics spoke of dusty roads, long days, and a belief that music could carry someone beyond their circumstances. As the performer sang, images formed in the minds of everyone listening, transporting them to a world they may never have seen but could suddenly understand. When the song ended, one of the judges stood up, applauding vigorously, praising not only the talent but the authenticity that cannot be taught or manufactured. Midway through the show, a young songwriter stepped onto the stage, visibly nervous but determined. They explained that the song they had written came from a place of self-doubt, from years of feeling invisible. The opening verse was quiet, almost whispered, drawing the audience in closer. The lyrics spoke of standing in the background, watching others shine, wondering if their own light would ever be noticed. Then, as the song reached the chorus, everything changed. The voice soared, powerful and confident, declaring self-worth and inner strength. It was as if the song itself mirrored the journey from doubt to belief. The audience erupted in applause before the final note even finished, recognizing the transformation unfolding right before their eyes. Another unforgettable moment came when a performer dedicated their song to someone no longer alive. They spoke briefly, voice trembling, explaining that music was the only way they knew how to say goodbye. The song was hauntingly beautiful, filled with gentle melodies and lyrics that felt like letters written to the past. Every word carried love, regret, gratitude, and longing. The judges listened with visible emotion, some holding their hands over their hearts. When the song ended, there were tears not just on stage, but throughout the audience. It was a reminder that music has the power to connect the living and the lost, to say what words alone cannot. As the night went on, it became clear that original songs carry a different kind of magic. Unlike familiar covers, these performances came with no expectations, no comparisons. Each song stood alone, judged solely on its ability to move, inspire, and resonate. One performer brought humor into their songwriting, using clever lyrics and playful melodies to tell a story of everyday struggles. The audience laughed, recognizing themselves in the witty observations. Yet beneath the humor was a deeper message about perseverance and finding joy in small victories. The judges praised the originality, noting how difficult it is to balance humor and heart without losing sincerity. Another contestant took a risk, presenting a song that was unconventional in structure and sound. It did not follow traditional patterns, shifting tempos and styles unexpectedly. At first, the audience seemed unsure, but as the song progressed, curiosity turned into fascination. The lyrics were poetic, abstract, inviting listeners to find their own meaning. By the end, the applause was thunderous, a testament to the power of creativity and the courage to be different. One of the most powerful moments came when a performer sang about identity. The song explored the struggle of fitting into a world that constantly tries to label and define. The lyrics questioned expectations, challenged norms, and ultimately celebrated self-acceptance. The melody was strong and steady, anchoring the message with confidence. As the final chorus echoed through the theater, people stood, cheering, some with tears in their eyes. It was not just a song, but an anthem for anyone who has ever felt misunderstood. As the judges offered their feedback, it was clear that they were not just evaluating talent, but responding as human beings. They spoke about being moved, about feeling connected, about remembering why music matters. They praised the bravery it takes to share something so personal on such a public stage. They acknowledged that not every note was perfect, but perfection was never the point. Truth was, toward the end of the night, a performer stepped onto the stage with quiet confidence. They explained that they had written their song during a time when everything seemed uncertain. The lyrics reflected fear, hope, and the courage to keep going despite not knowing what comes next. The melody built gradually, starting softly and growing into a powerful, uplifting climax. As the final chorus rang out, the audience clapped along, swept up in the energy and optimism. When the song ended, the performer smiled, tears in their eyes, overwhelmed by the response. The judges stood, applauding, recognizing the universal message of resilience. The final performance of the night brought everything together. The performer shared a song about dreams, about standing on a stage like this one, imagining a future shaped by passion and perseverance. The lyrics were hopeful, the melody inspiring. It felt like a celebration not just of the performer's journey, but of everyone who dares to dream. As the last note echoed, the audience erupted in applause, cheers filling the theater. It was a fitting end to a night defined by courage, creativity, and connection. As the lights brightened and the applause slowly faded, one thing was clear. These original songs did more than entertain. They reminded everyone watching that music is a language of the soul. It can tell stories that words alone cannot capture. It can heal, empower, and unite. On that stage, ordinary people became storytellers, and their songs became bridges between hearts. Long after the night ended, those melodies would linger, echoing in the minds of everyone who heard them, proof that when someone dares to share their truth through music, the world listens.